Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Learning Media Skills. I know it has been a while since I've posted anything. I've been on hiatus here at Learning Media Skills, and people have been writing in, is everything okay? I haven't seen a video from you for a while. And yes, it is true. I guess life has just gotten really busy for me. People are asking, are you still in media? Yeah, well, that's part of the problem. I'm still in media, and my commitments have kind of snowballed on me. And trying to keep up with that and other YouTube channels and family life, it just became a little bit too much. And I think one of the other reasons why I haven't posted lately is because about a year and a half ago, I made a big switch in media from the video editing program that I was using and promoting, Edius Pro, to DaVinci Resolve. I think the last video that I posted was how I had just switched to a Mac, and you might be wondering how that is going. Did I stay with the Mac? And yes, actually, I have. I just love them. But for today, I just wanted to share with you the reason why I switched from Edius to DaVinci Resolve as my new video editor. Actually, I've used Edius Pro for about 16 years. In fact, I was much more than a user. I was a promoter and Edius educator. Just do a search here at our YouTube channel, and you'll see how many lessons I have made teaching other people how to use Edius Pro. And so a lot of people have asked me why I left and made the switch to DaVinci Resolve. And I've been a little bit hesitant to respond because I really liked Edius. It's really a good program. It's clean, easy to learn, easy to work with. I could cut fast on Edius, and I would say that I could still recommend it as a good video editing solution. It had always been the best, I felt, of handling new codecs, working with new codecs, tweaking their software so that the new codecs could play in real time, and I could edit without the stopping and the stuttering. But it just kind of reached a point where Edius was no longer able to do that with some of the new camera codecs. And so I started contacting Edius. The Edius has a wonderful forum. And so I would ask them, what's going on? Why isn't it real time anymore? And people would recommend that I upgrade my computer, and so I would do that. But still, I would find myself stuttering as I would try and edit with the new codecs. I had noticed some of the other YouTube creators claiming how they could take their iMac 24 and together with DaVinci Resolve be able to play most of the latest codecs in real time. And so I felt like I needed to give it a try. I'll have to admit, it was a bit of a dilemma. How could I say goodbye to an old friend that I had worked with and promoted for so many years? Again, I reached out to Grass Valley, the forum, and to see if there's any chance that they might be planning to port Edius over to the new Apple architecture so that they could keep up with their real-time reputation. I got a responding no. Don't expect that. So in September of 2021, I made a leap of faith, and I picked up an entry-level Mac with the new M1 chip architecture and downloaded the free version of DaVinci Resolve and started learning a whole new system. I was surprised at how easy the transition was. What amazed me more was how, for the price of a high-end video card for the PC, I now had a computer with a beautiful 4.5K Retina screen, and how with a fast SSD drive plugged into a Thunderbolt connection, I could once again enjoy real-time editing of the latest codecs. I was hooked. There was no going back. As I discovered each new feature of DaVinci Resolve, I just became more and more convicted that I had made a positive decision for me. I don't know about anybody else. I can't speak for anybody else's experience, but for me, after 16 years of using Edius Pro, just after a couple of weeks working with DaVinci Resolve, I had to accept the fact that it was a better program, and I made the final switch. I would have to say that it isn't just about the real time as I started to work with the program. Probably what I would say is I made the switch for real time, but stayed for the new features. Let me do a list of what I see as the benefits of Resolve. At the time of my departure from Edius Pro X or 10, I believe that the price was close to $1,000. I just did a check today, and I see that the price seems to have come down to $499, and I say, good for them. I think they should have done it a long time ago. In fact, $499 might be still a little too much. But it still can't really compete with DaVinci Resolve as far as price goes. Most new editors just starting out into video editing can really get by with the free version of DaVinci. As long as they don't need to export in 4K, they'll probably be perfectly fine. And after they've used it for a year, once they decide that this is a hobby or a life work that they want to pursue, then they can pay the $299 to get all of the extra features that come with the studio version. And the $299, yeah, it's maybe not that much difference between the $299 and the $499, but the thing about DaVinci Resolve, the sweet thing about that is you just pay for it once. And the upgrades are free for life. Whereas with Edius, every time they come out with a new major revision, like when they come out with Edius Pro 11, or whatever they'll call the next one, you're going to have to buy it again or pay the upgrade price. When I first started using DaVinci Resolve, it was Studio 16. Now it's Studio 18, and I haven't had to spend another penny. And that will go on for the next 20 years of my edit career. Hopefully I'll live that long without having to pay another dime. And so I would have to say that's a point for Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. And, you know, Premiere Pro, the Adobe suite, is even worse, right? You have to pay every month for them. And so I love the pricing with Resolve, $299 for life. Let's talk about Realtime. I have to say again, point goes to Blackmagic on real-time editing. At least the combination of Blackmagic software, the DaVinci Resolve, how it has been designed specifically to work with the Apple architecture to give the best possibility of real time on a Mac. I can't speak for how it plays on the PC side of it. You know, DaVinci Resolve does work on PCs as well as the Linux operating system. Can't say how good the real time is on those, but as far as the Mac goes, DaVinci Resolve, point goes to Resolve for real-time editing. Let's talk about how they improve their product, adding new features to the product. I did a check to see how Edius software has progressed over the year and a half that I've been away, and I don't know, they're still on version 10. That's where it was when I left a year and a half ago. And it doesn't look like they've really added many features or improvements. And I noticed this for the 2 or 3 years before I left. Even when they would make a major revision or a major release from 8 to 9 to 10, that there wasn't really much change or improvement to the software. And so I have to say, point goes to Blackmagic. We've had so many revisions in the last year and a half, and each time is improving the software, working out the bugs, adding new features. And so I just have to really give the point to Blackmagic. Color grading. Big point to Blackmagic. In fact, I would have to give some bonus points here. DaVinci Resolve has probably got the best color grading tool in the business when it comes to video editors. In fact, it started out as a color grader. In fact, I think I read somewhere where the first few versions of the software were selling for over $1 million because of the color grading. And it was something that people used in editing movies because of the quality of the color grading. Well, all of that technology has been brought into this software today that you can get for free, or $2.99 if you want all the features. So what used to cost $1 million is now freely available to everyone. And so I have to say, big kudos, big points to Blackmagic for giving that $1 million software away to us documentary producers for basically nothing. Even if we say $2.99, right? It's basically free to get this wonderful color grading tool right inside your video editing. Big point to Blackmagic. What about media organizing? I always thought that Edius Pro was quite good in helping you set up your project for editing in the way that you could organize your media into folders and that type of thing. But now that I'm working with DaVinci Resolve, I have to say that their approach to media organizing is even better than Edius Pro. It has an actual built-in component just to help you organize your media before you start editing. If you're like me, when I start a project, I'm usually having to access archived media that might be spread out over 10 or 15 hard drives. And finding that media can be a little bit tedious, finding the right clips to start your project. Even in Edius Pro, I found that it was very time-consuming. But DaVinci Resolve, with their component dedicated to media management, makes that process easy, and I can very quickly get my project set up, even though I'm searching 10, 15 hard drives, bring them into the project before I start. So point Blackmagic for media management. Title tools. Edius Pro did have some titling tool software, but it was always a little bit primitive, I thought. You could do it, but it lacked some features. And Grass Valley did try and address that problem by including some third-party software for titling, but I never really did find that software to be easy to learn, I guess, or integrate well. And so I never really used it and was just stuck with the limitations of the title tool right inside Edius. But I find that the title tool in DaVinci Resolve, while it may not be that feature-rich, I find it easy, efficient, and fast to work with. I can add titles very quickly with Blackmagic. And so, once again, point to Blackmagic. Export options. I would have to give this point also to Blackmagic. Resolve has an excellent exporter with lots of options. I especially like how it integrates well with the Mac software, the Mac ProRes codecs. Edius could do that, but it was a little bit flaky as to how they did that. And so when a client wanted it in ProRes, I think they had to download a special codec. A lot of clients didn't want to download that codec and install something on their Mac that was from kind of an iffy website. And so I never really did like that solution. Whereas Blackmagic has so many exporting options that I have to give the point once again to Blackmagic. What about the speed of editing? I always bragged about how fast I could cut in Edius. But I would have to say that after a year and a half of working with DaVinci, that I kind of have to say that when everything is considered, I'm able to cut even faster in Resolve. And so once again, point for Blackmagic. That's a lot of points for DaVinci Resolve. Was there anything that was better than in Edius? Sorry, old friend. I can't think of anything. Still a great product. Liked it better than Premiere Pro and Avid. But I have to say, I have no regrets to making the switch, and there's no going back. If you are thinking about giving Resolve a try, I really encourage you to make the leap. You'll be glad that you did. You can try it out on a PC first if you want to get a feel for the software. But just another plug for Apple here. I would say that if you like DaVinci Resolve on the PC, that you will find the experience even better on a Mac, especially if you get the studio display, the 5K Retina screen. If you're spending 10 hours a day editing in front of a screen, why not get a 5K Retina monitor to make your life a little bit more enjoyable as you work? I don't know. Can you get a 5K monitor for your PC? A Retina screen? I just don't think you can. And so a little plug. I think that if you added up all of the costs for doing fast real-time with a new codecs, when you add up the fast CPU, a great motherboard, a $2,000 video card, I think you're going to come into pretty close to what the Apple costs, and you're still probably stuck with a 4K monitor. So get a Mac. A lot of people would assume that because I'm in video, I would be working with a Mac. That's the way Apple has advertised themselves. If you're a creative person, you need the Mac, right? And so when I would tell people, no, I use a PC, they would be, what? And I would tell people, why would I want to spend an extra $1,000 for a pretty Apple logo on the front of my computer? It just doesn't make sense. Why would I do that? But then, after making the switch and actually working with a Mac and spending time in front of the beautiful Retina screens, I have to say, this is why creatives like to work on a Mac. And I couldn't go back at this point. So, point Apple. And I really recommend making the switch to that. But you can do it. You can do DaVinci Resolve on a PC. Give it a try. I think you will love it. I know that one of the things that might prevent people from making a switch, I know it was for me. Oh boy, I probably hesitated a good 6 months before I made the switch. And that is, do I really want to learn new software? That could take a whole month, in making the switch from Edius Pro to DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to be kind of stuck and working slow for a good month while I learn the software. Well, I was really surprised how easy it was to make the switch. You can customize the keyboard shortcuts on DaVinci Resolve to make it have a look and feel like Edius so that the transition isn't that difficult. And whenever I would run up against a frustrating problem and things just didn't seem to work good, all I had to do was go to Google and type in DaVinci Resolve and ask my question, and right away 3 or 4 videos would pop up on YouTube that would answer that specific question. It's like there's an online manual for anything that you might run up against. So I found making the switch was very easy. I just customized my keyboard so that it was using keyboard shortcuts the way I was used to, and then just using YouTube to work as my online manual. I'm kind of considering possibly making my own series of instructional videos on DaVinci Resolve. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, let me know in the comments below if you would find that helpful. I've found the one thing about a lot of the tutorials that are out there on YouTube right now on DaVinci Resolve is that there seems to be, with most of them, not all, but with most of them, there seems to be a certain assumption that you already know a lot, right? And so they use words and terminology and speak really fast. And for the new editor just starting out, it can be a little bit confusing, and they don't quite catch the explanation very well. When I make a series, if you've been an old timer here at Learning Media Skills, you will know that my videos, I tend to slow down and explain things in a way that is kind of step by step, in a way that new users, people who have never edited a video before in their life, can understand and follow. So if you would find that helpful, let me know. A step-by-step guide of how to edit a video project in DaVinci Resolve. As you give it a try, as you try this to make the switch, if you would find it helpful to have a really good step-by-step tutorial on how to use DaVinci, let me know, and I'll maybe work on that. Well, that's my story of why I switched to DaVinci Resolve from Edius Pro, and why there's no turning back. Switched for the Realtime, stayed for the features. My best to you all. See you next time here at Learning Media Skills. So long for now.